welcome back. I know it's been about a week between videos, but I figured we would go ahead and review the blue frame first, since I still am working on the Eclipse and the Freedom. The red frame is right now currently sitting by my desk, awaiting to be built. But most of that has to do with the fact that I'm just doing a little Halloween time model. Because why not? So, here is the HG1100 blue frame second L. The second L essentially is just the second variation of the standard blue frame. Great model. I understand why Full Mechanics and RE100 pretty much replaced this line. But there's a few flaws, let's say. One of the biggest, of course, is the fact that while it's a great kit, it still feels like a giant high grade in some spots. As you can tell, one of the biggest things I can say right now, you're going to need a stand. This is just a stand from a Diamond Select figure that I have sitting around. I have to put the sword on this for the sheer fact of it's too heavy for his joints to support, which is understandable, considering that's more plastic than what's in the actual model. Now, just for ease of use, move that out of the way and take a look at the second L itself. Now, I love the design of the second L. I think it's one of the coolest looking Astray variants there. Of course, it's not saying much, considering that basically all the red frame's second revision adds is just giant arms, and that's it. This orange, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. This orange is beautiful. It's kind of a neutral orange with a little bit of kind of a more yellowy aesthetic. It looks great. The blue is a nice dark blue, that nice standard Gundam blue. The proportions of the model are perfect. They're exactly what you want an Astray to be. On the back, you've got the wing gimmicks, where you can change that giant sword into wings and stick it on the back. And all that fun jazz. It's on a little bit of a hinge, as you can see, so you can kind of tilt it around as much as you need. Yeah, this thing cuts a nice silhouette. This thing's beautiful, and that head sculpt's aggressive, but still reads as an Astray. I'm not sure how well you can see those eyes, but there's beautiful green foil seals, and beautiful green foil seal there on the top. Beautiful green foil seals for the eyes. A little bit of orange down there at the bottom in a metallic color to really show off the orange accents here. I didn't paint hardly anything on this kit, mind you. All I painted was just these two little blue stripes here and these little orange spots here. Other than that, this is just straight built out of the box, panel lined. The decals that came with the model, put on the model, like the serpent tail logo, the marking of number 1. Great model. Really pleasantly surprising. That's another issue we'll have to get into. But beautiful model. Great model. Looks good, looks the part. But compared to the Master Grade, I would have to say depends on the availability you're trying to look for. The Master Grade is more readily available and is going to be the exact same size. This is, of course, a faster build. It's going to look the same, and it's a little bit, in my opinion, sturdier in some spots, but yeah, take that as you will. So let's start with articulation. So these little knife sheaths are on a pivot. Just tell them the mushroom peg. You can remove the armor that way. One moment. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to launch one of those armor panels. As I was saying, yes, these knives, we'll just use it on this side. They are removable. It's just out on the mushroom peg. And you can pull out the little knives, little armor schneiders. You can pull them out, put them back in. I wouldn't advise this much since Master Grade does that better. And of course, we'll talk about another issue, which is the pivots here at the shoulders make not only the shoulder joints weak, but make this hard to stay on. So, one advantage it has is it hides the articulation well with this clamshell. But in order to do it properly, you have to pull all this out. And you still don't get a ton of range of the arm, since the shoulder pad is a piece that pretty much holds the arm on. So you have to move the shoulder pad and the arm in unison. Which, yeah, isn't the best. Now, of course, move the shoulder pad out of the way. You can get some decent range on the shoulders. It's nothing completely crazy, obviously. It's limited because of this being a mostly solid construction. You're not going to get much. And there's that shoulder pad problem I was talking about that, yeah, that comes off very easily. But that's because all these frames are the same. So without the shoulder pad, you get better in horizontal. Well, that's off. I'm going to show you the swivel, full 90 degree at the elbow, which is nice. That extra bit of articulation there at the wrist, which makes certain weapon poses easier. Yeah, all in all, that articulation in the arms is nice. But having to constantly reattach shoulder pads can be kind of a pain. With the shoulder pads, you hardly get nothing out. That's as far as you're getting. Elbows are still just a little under 90. This is unaffected since it's freestanding as is. It's the same on this side. I'm not going to have to show you because, again, it's kind of a pain. And again, yeah, these joints are a little wacky, but they're not bad. You got a slight pivot in the torso. Of course, the torso swivel since, again, limited by the armor panels and all the crap hanging off the hips. If you didn't have all this on the hips, I'm going to remove these for the time being. Mostly for the fact of articulation. That's going to make things easier. Yeah, just raise the arms up slightly. Just, yeah, that torso can get okay range. It's not crazy. Again, it starts to pop and crack a little bit. I'd be careful. To get the hips to their full extent, you have to take the Schneiders off, obviously, but this is as far as you're getting, period. That's it. Unless you move these out of the way. Even then, it's not going to go a whole lot farther since it's just on a universal joint polycap, which is not that impressive. Full kick forward, not bad. Full kick backward, not bad. You get a swivel here that's, well, your typical swivel. Good knee joint, great knee joint actually. Better than 90 degrees. Well better than 90 degrees. Ugly in the front though, but that doesn't matter. Better than 90, that's fantastic. For a very mobile and agile suit, that's phenomenal. A lot of the panels move to get out of the way, so that's nice. This little piece of armor back here, especially. The exposed frame looks good. The ankle is on its own separate floating joint, and you'll get a little bit of a tilt either way. Not much forward, not much back due to the limiting nature of these ankle bracers. The front skirt is kind of just there. The back skirt's completely solid. This back piece can kind of get out of the way a little bit. You can drop down and wiggle a little bit, but that's more the articulation than anything else. It's also on a swivel. Not crazy amount of articulation, but enough. I'll put these back on. Yeah, you're going to want to take those off when articulating the model, since they're kind of a pain to get on and off. They also serve no purpose other than aesthetics, unless it's in the weapon mode, which even then, kind of a pain, but yeah. So, without the giant sword, it cuts a nice silhouette. It's a nice looking model. It look good on the shelf. Obviously, with it being a giant high grade, you essentially have to pretty much deal with it being a high grade. There's nothing crazy impressive with it, but for what it is and the time it came out, this released in 2002, it's a phenomenal model. It looks great. It poses great. It's a lot better than a lot of the more garbage 144th offerings you had at this time, both at US and pretty much any Western retail chain. As for size, though, he's about 7¼ inches, almost 8 inches, standing perfectly straight up and down. If you count the V-fin, he's over 8, which puts him right at about 20 centimeters even to the top of V-fin, about 18¼ centimeters to the top of the head. And then the sword itself is 26 centimeters from the tip of the blade to the hilt. And in inches, it is 10½ inches. Yeah, it's a big weapon. And as I said, you're going to need a display stand for this thing. If not, it's not going to do anything. Now, let me just get this out for you. Yeah, this thing is cool. It looks great. I also had to paint these little orange parts here and here, but that's because I'm never going to put anything else in here. And yeah, it does the gimmick it can do. You know, you can pull that out and, you know, stick everything back together, since that is problematic. Nothing holds that in but friction. But yeah, you can take that and adjust it as you see fit. Pull this out and fold these up into the wings and, you know, make the wings out of it. Have the anti-aircraft gun. Of course, that would fold down for that, and you would then, you know, fold these up for the wings and shove this back in. But yeah, as of right now, I'm just going to show it like this, since it's problematic to do. It's rather annoying to deal with, personally, in my opinion. Another form it has is you just fold the blades down, you keep the hinges locked, and it becomes a anti-aircraft gun, which is kind of cool, but also kind of shoehorned in there as a third form. I wouldn't recommend putting this on the model at all, due to the fact that it's just going to weigh him down. It's going to weigh him down way too much, either thing you do with him. It's a real shame, honestly, because it's a cool-looking weapon. It's a phenomenal weapon, in all honesty. It's one of the coolest looking Astray weapons out there, but that's the issue. While it looks cool, it serves no purpose other than that. It's too heavy for the model to hold on to. It's too heavy to display the model with properly. It's really too heavy to do most poses with. I wasn't able to get a whole lot of dynamic poses out of it because even without an action base, he can't hold the weight of the weapon. Now, with an action base, that's a different story, but his joints are going to become extremely loose, especially at the shoulders and the wrists and everything else. Now, this being a high grade from the time it released, it did come with the 1/20th scale pilot figures, which these things are phenomenal. These things are great. Yes, these come unpainted. They're essentially just resin at first, but Guy is a very likable character. If you've never read Astray, go read it. Guy's a super likable dude. This model looked great too, by the way. The model wasn't hard to do. I did some specialty things to make the goggles there in the front, but yeah, wasn't a hard model to do. If you have any kind of miniature painting skill, you can definitely do something like this pretty easy. These are 1/20 scales, so for those of you who don't know how scales work, he's a 20th of the actual size of the character, so that puts him at just about 3¼ inches to the top of his head from this heel. Centimeter, that puts him at, about 9 centimeters even. I've got him on a little chunk of wood right now, a little plinth. just because I have yet to do a matte varnish over everything. So I'm trying to be careful. But yeah, my only real issue I have with these pilot figures is not the figures themselves. They're great figures. It's just the amount of work you need for it. Bandai's color guides are always a little off at this time period. So this gray was just, to me, a gray with a drop of green. That wasn't bad. The white, though, I had to custom mix, and it was a rather long and drawn-out ordeal. The pants are just a green mix. The boots are a brown. The hardest problem is matching that white. The skin tone was a custom mix. I would use lacquer paint on these specifically. You kind of have to, given the material they're made from. But yeah, I mean, they're not crazy thin like some of the 1/144th scale versions. They're proportioned well. They look good. They're a nice little bonus to get in the box. I went ahead and gave a custom clear overlay to the head there. I don't know how well you can see it. So yeah, all in all, if you come across one at a garage sale or eBay and you're a fan of Astray, I'd recommend picking one up. If not, then obviously go with the master grade. But this is definitely a good alternative just to have one on your shelf. Essentially, that's why I have one. I just wanted an Astray blue frame and red frame on my shelf, but I didn't want to pay the master grade prices for it. Considering I paid almost $50 for this and almost $50 for the red frame, I should have just gone ahead and bought the master grades. But lesson learned on that. They're still really great kits. And I'm a sucker for those 120 scale pilot figures. I wish more companies would do that anymore, other than Kotobukiya. I wish Bandai would kind of include those still as little bonuses for your model kits. It's kind of nice to have. But all in all, great model. One of the all-time coolest designs to come from anything in Seed, in my opinion. Now, do the footfalls of this model make it worth buying? That's up to you. I knew what I was getting myself into before doing it from word of mouth of, web forums and what I could find video-wise. There's not a lot of videos on these old 1/100 high grades. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that reviewing model kits on the internet was kind of at its infancy when these came out, so magazine articles are your best friend. Aside from that, I got some unboxings planned for tomorrow and for Saturday. So in the next couple days, you guys will probably see 2 unboxing videos, and that'll be, one is some PVC figures, and the other one is a franchise that I am very much a fan of, which is Macross. So look forward to that in the future. Hopefully you guys will be able to tune in for both. And if you guys have any questions or you have anything you'd like to see reviewed, if I can actually manage to do it, let me know. Drop me a comment. I'm always open for suggestion. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.